Hello, Unbiased Trades here, and I just want to take you through today my trade reviews for some of the trades I've taken this week. I have been recovering from being ill, so I had a big break from trading, and luckily it correlated with the New Year's and everything, so like there was some time off anyway. But yeah, it's been a pretty slow January at the moment, and today I'm going to go through trade reviews and basically one of my most common mistakes. So let's just get straight into it. MRIN was the most recent example of this. This was on the 7th of January, and it was a classic bag holder play for me. So this was an easy setup. I've traded it a ton of times. I've been profitable on it. But I do have this consistent problem that I have impatient entries, and then that can lead to a lot of bigger issues. Luckily, this time it didn't, but I'll be taking you through how that kind of works, and maybe this happens in your trading, and you can not feel as alone, because I know a lot of issues in trading. Everyone thinks like, oh, they only have this issue, or oh, like this issue is caused just because of one of the things they do, and it's like impossible to fix. So yeah, let's just go for it. So pretty much this is a bag holder setup. We normally see what the ideal situation is. I just want to fade straight away from open with maybe a pop to VWAP and then continued fade. That's the ideal situation. Obviously, that doesn't happen all the time. So sometimes you get plays like this. Now, these two lines here are the two lines I was really looking to short into. I was either looking into short into 480 and 470 or pre-market highs. It didn't get to pre-market highs, but it did get to these two lines. So once we were getting to 470, I was looking for this rejection. Unluckily, this flush here was too quick, so I wasn't able to get in. So I was thinking, okay, where can be my next place? And this is where I trip up. When I feel the FOMO of missing a move that I should have had, I enter too early and I don't think properly, and I think, oh, this is just going to continue fading now. Sometimes they do, but that's not very common. Normally, I would say there's normally a rule of three, or at least you're wanting trying to see like two good moves before you start like entering just because, you know. And here we had, the move to the downside, one up move, consolidation, and another move, and then that was our three moves, right? So here was a too early entry. The volume also picked up crazy, so I think I am not too annoyed about this entry here. Sorry. I am very annoyed about this entry here because this was just too early. I should have been waiting for these highs to at least test like a double top and wait for like a rejection there. But instead, I was FOMO, greed, whatever you want to put it down. I was entering early here. So this was bad, okay? And then here I entered for the double top. So this one, I'm not, like ashamed by, or I don't think it was really a bad trade. I think it was something where I could have looked more into it and waited for more confirmation, because as you can see, the volume was so obvious that this was having a huge push because of huge volume. So I should have at least waited for that volume to come back down, to see some good selling pressure, something like that, like some kind of confirmation. But instead, I just saw the level and jumped in, and that is a consistent issue with me. That sometimes I'll just see the level and think, oh, I've seen this so many times, I'll just enter, and I don't try and I don't remember that every single trade is an individual trade. There are different things about every single trade, even though overall the pattern is the same. Every single one isn't identical. So that was my issues. But luckily, this time on MRIN, these were both normal losses. I didn't oversize. I didn't get emotional. I didn't take more than those trades. I stuck to my 1R. I only took 2R loss there. And I was very, still the entries and trades weren't perfect, but at least my risk management was there. And that's like the big thing. I'll go into more how like sometimes that doesn't happen, and yeah, but then we finally see the backside, and I kept on seeing a seller push into the 472s, and there was big selling pressure there, and I basically took the trade on that. If it broke 472 and gave me a clear-cut indication that the volume was picking up and it's going to go test like 5 again, then I'll just cut it for a small loss. Otherwise, I'll just hold this. And I held it pretty much all the way down to the 5 minute moving averages. And yeah, it was a perfect trade, really good. I recovered a good amount of losses. I recovered all the losses here, but sadly had another loss on the day, so I didn't recover that. But that's fine. The trading wise, it was good, you know. But that's just my main entry. Main issue is that like the impatient entries and stuff. So let's get into how this kind of looks on a general idea. I know this is very B-Tech. I'm sorry for how scuffed this looks, but I wanted to show you a general idea of how this works for me and maybe how you could try and fix it. So let's take this as the first move. So this is the first move happening here. We get a consolidation. You've missed this, right? You've missed this move. You feel a bit of FOMO and you want to enter here. The main thing you need to look for is confirmation, because most of the time, I'm telling you from experience, there will always be a retest most of the time. Sometimes you do get those faders that completely fade, but they do have things with them that you can identify them. I won't go over it in this video because it's another video itself, but you know, there are certain things you can identify and see like, oh, this could be maybe a fader and it's not going to retest, you know? But this is the normal entry that I take here when I'm FOMO, being impatient, not waiting for the move, all that kind of stuff. That's the That's the entry I take there. Not good at all. Don't like it. I take a 1R loss here, so that's 1R now down. Then I take another entry at this high. Now this entry sometimes does work. So sometimes I'm only taking 1R loss and then I get a nice 2 to 3R back and I end positive. But a lot of the times as well, it does spike again and I get stopped out for 2R loss. And now if this was the case where I hadn't taken this trade over here, I would only be down 1R with this trade. This trade has better probability and it is a better trade overall to take, you know, for the double top. And then finally, when I see the backside and I'm properly, you know, patient, I actually wait for the better entry, I finally take the good trade and I'm able to maybe get 2 to 3R on the way down. And, you know, if I can get 3R, then amazing, I've recovered these 2 losses, but still there's 1 loss that's not needed there. It's just out of impatience and FOMO and me getting too early into it. Now, I'll go over the worst thing that sometimes happens to me is that sometimes I will oversize on this trade here. And that is the worst tendency I have, and it's the biggest like cause for me taking big losers is because I'm frustrated that I was impatient and I realized, why are you doing that? It's so stupid. And then I think, oh, well, this one has way better probability. Let me oversize here. And then I'm risking like 2R. So then I'm down. If I lose this, I'm down like 3R in total. And that's just a terrible trading. You don't want to be doing that. But that is how emotions can be extremely important in trading and cause even bigger issues and amplify your issues. Whereas they can just, you know, sometimes the issues by themselves, if risk management is in check, you know, they hurt, but they don't completely end your account or, you know, make you take a big loss day. So I just want to really like hone in on that point is that oversizing will kill you. It will kill you the fastest. You can't over leverage. You always need to stick to your risk. It's so important. And I think this is a great way of showing you. And hopefully you don't have to experience this like I do to be taught the lesson. But I think a lot of things in trading, you'll hear it from someone, but you don't fully process it. You know, you need it to happen to you. You need that emotional damage from it to really process it. But let's get into some good trades, yeah? So we got NTRB on the 3rd of January. This was a great pre-market trade. Really, really happy with this. We had a really nice downtrend, and we even had an overall trend line from the highs of pre-market. It was a bit further back, but there was still a trend line all the way down. We had a pop into the moving averages. We saw the rejection from it. I entered on the next candle, so I waited for confirmation, put my stop just over. And the best thing about this entry was that it had previous day close and it was a day 2 play. This is the best entry there ever was, man. You have the moving averages, you have a trend line, you have the previous day, it's a day 2. It's just easy. It's just so high probability, and I let it ride pretty much until open, and I covered a lot, and this was a great win for me, and it's just an amazing trade. I wish every trade could be this simple, but sadly it's not always the case. Next, we got X. This is an overextension play, and this one was another semi-easy one. Wasn't the easiest, but it was okay. Um, I think I was still a bit impatient on my entry, but luckily here I sized in properly. I sized in for it to break here, and I would have got 2R down here, and I was able to get 2R, so that was great. I entered basically off the rejection of this main, I think it was a daily line, and it kept on popping and rejecting into it. And I did get FOMO on the first two times, seeing that it rejected and I missed the move because I was like, damn, I should have just shorted this. But I let it play out again, see what's happening because there's a lot of trapping on this. And there was a lot of volume, like 1.6 million volume. There's a lot of volume. It can trap again and push higher. So I wanted to see if this was actually going to hold. I shorted it into the third time because it was looking pretty heavy. Got squeezed a bit, but still within my risk, that was fine. And then just covered it on the way down, and it was a very easy trade. So yeah, that just goes over some of my mistakes, and I hope you've learned from it. And also, you can see what a good and bad trade is, and how oversizing can really damage your account. So I hope you have good trading in 2022, and thank you, everyone.